Eugene O'Neill's Long Day's Journey into Night, written in 1941–42, posthumously premiered in 1956, is widely considered his magnum opus and one of the most important American plays of the 20th century. A deeply autobiographical tragedy, the play chronicles a single day in the life of the Tyrone family, a family racked by addiction, bitterness, shattered dreams, and emotional dysfunction. Set in the summer home of the Tyrones in 1912, the play unfolds over the course of one long, harrowing day, gradually exposing the psychological scars, repressed traumas, and tangled relationships that haunt the family. Through a mix of poetic realism and raw emotional intensity, O'Neill explores the themes of addiction, denial, the illusion of the American dream, familial bonds, and the inescapable grip of the past. Setting and context. The play takes place on a single August day in 1912, in the Tyrones' seaside Connecticut home. The events occur between morning and midnight. The four main characters are loosely based on O'Neill's own family: his father James, mother Ella, and brother Jamie. The protagonist Edmund represents O'Neill himself. The setting, a living room shrouded in fog, both literal and symbolic, reinforces the themes of obscurity, illusion, and mental, emotional haze that dominate the play. Morning. Superficial calm. As the play opens, the family appears content and affectionate. James Tyrone, the father, is a once famous actor who squandered his talent for financial security. He is proud, frugal, and emotionally distant. His wife, Mary, has recently returned from a sanatorium where she was treated for morphine addiction. Their sons, Jamie and Edmund, engage in banter, masking their deeper conflicts. Despite the calm, there are undercurrents of tension. Mary complains of fatigue and arthritis in her hands, arousing suspicion from the men that she may have relapsed into morphine use. Meanwhile, Edmund, the younger son, is coughing severely, and there is fear that he may have tuberculosis. Afternoon. Erosion of facades. As the day progresses, the cracks in the family's facade widen. Mary retreats into denial and increasingly isolates herself. She reminisces obsessively about her youth, the convent, and her lost dreams of becoming a concert pianist. Her drifting speech and erratic behavior confirm the family's suspicions: she has relapsed. Edmund visits the doctor to confirm his diagnosis. He and Jamie begin drinking heavily, as does their father. Each character begins to air long simmering grievances. Mary resents her husband for dragging her into a life of cheap hotels and loneliness. James laments the loss of his idealism and is defensive about his penny pinching. Jamie is cynical and self-destructive. Edmund feels stifled and unloved. Throughout the day, each character oscillates between moments of tenderness and cruel recriminations. Their conversations are marked by repetition, circular logic, and attempts to either forget or reframe the past. Evening. Emotional disintegration. By evening, Mary is lost in a narcotic haze. Her speech becomes dreamlike and rambling. She recounts her wedding night, her sense of entrapment in marriage, and the trauma of losing an infant son, suggesting this event may have triggered her addiction. Her increasing detachment mirrors the family's collective descent into emotional despair. Meanwhile, James and his sons drink in the living room. Edmund confronts his father about his stinginess, especially in choosing a cheap sanatorium for Mary and resisting proper treatment for Edmund's illness. Jamie confesses his jealousy and his attempts to sabotage Edmund out of resentment. As the play ends, Mary descends the stairs, completely absorbed in her delusions, holding her old wedding dress and speaking as if she were still a young girl in the convent. Her final line, "I fell in love with James Tyrone and was so happy for a time," is both a nostalgic dream and an elegy for a life consumed by regret and lost possibility. Character analysis. Mary Cavan Tyrone. Mary is the emotional core of the play. A once vivacious woman, she is now caught between hope and hopelessness. Her addiction to morphine is both a symptom and a cause of her alienation. She embodies the tragedy of repression, as she clings to romanticized memories to escape reality. Mary's repeated reference to the convent and her lost aspirations reflect a woman who feels her life was stolen from her by marriage and motherhood. Her final descent into delusion is the ultimate symbol of the human need for illusion when confronted with unbearable truth. James Tyrone. A once promising actor, James Tyrone is now a disillusioned patriarch clinging to past glory and financial security. His miserliness stems from childhood poverty, and his career's stagnation is rooted in choosing commercial success over artistic fulfillment. James is not overtly cruel, but his inability to show love or vulnerability makes him emotionally distant. He fails to recognize how his decisions, especially his parsimony, have contributed to his wife's and son's suffering. Jamie Tyrone. Jamie, the older son, is deeply cynical, alcoholic, and self-destructive. He squanders his talent and opportunities, using wit and sarcasm to mask his inner turmoil. He simultaneously resents and loves his family, especially Edmund. In a moment of painful honesty, Jamie confesses to deliberately trying to corrupt Edmund, out of jealousy and despair. Jamie's emotional contradictions, his bitterness and self-awareness, make him one of the most tragic characters in the play. Edmund Tyrone. Edmund represents the younger Eugene O'Neill. A sensitive, intelligent young man, he is tormented by illness, tuberculosis, his mother's addiction, and his own existential despair. He finds solace in poetry and nature but is burdened by his family's dysfunction. Edmund's struggle with his father over proper medical care, and his confrontation with Jamie, mark his journey toward self-understanding. He serves as the play's moral and emotional compass. Major themes: addiction and escape. Every member of the Tyrone family is addicted to alcohol, morphine, nostalgia, or denial. Addiction functions not only as a physical dependency but also as a coping mechanism. Mary retreats into morphine-induced memories, James and Jamie into alcohol, and Edmund into poetry and intellectualism. These escapes, however, only deepen the family's dysfunction. O'Neill does not moralize about addiction; instead, he presents it as an inevitable response to emotional wounds and disillusionment. The inescapability of the past. The characters in Long Day's Journey into Night are haunted by their past. Mary's lost dreams, James's impoverished childhood, Jamie's wasted youth, and Edmund's illness all stem from or are exacerbated by past choices and traumas. The repetition of stories and accusations throughout the play illustrates how the Tyrones are trapped in an endless cycle of blame and regret. The past is never truly past, it shapes and distorts the present. Illusion versus reality. The play explores the tension between facing reality and embracing illusion. Mary lives in the past to escape her pain. James idealizes his acting career. Edmund romanticizes death and nature. Even Jamie, the most cynical, clings to family rituals and drunken camaraderie. O'Neill suggests that illusion can be both comforting and corrosive. The Tyrone's refusal to confront the truth is both a survival tactic and a source of continued suffering. Family and love. Despite the accusations and betrayals, the Tyrones are bound by love, wounded, dysfunctional love. Their inability to communicate healthily stems not from lack of care but from fear, guilt, and resentment. The play captures the paradox of familial love. It is both a source of strength and pain. The characters lash out not because they hate each other but because they feel let down by those they love most. Class and money. James Tyrone's obsession with money is rooted in his fear of poverty. He constantly makes financial decisions at the expense of emotional well-being, choosing a cheap sanatorium for Mary, buying inferior whiskey, and begrudging Edmund proper medical care. O'Neill critiques the capitalist mentality that equates financial success with security, revealing how such values can erode human relationships. Style and structure. Autobiographical realism. O'Neill drew heavily from his own life, infusing the play with deep emotional authenticity. His mother Ella, father James, and brother Jamie all struggled with the same issues depicted in the play. By dramatizing his family's pain, O'Neill engages in a kind of artistic exorcism. 4-act structure. The play follows a classical 4-act structure, with each act representing a time of day, morning, noon, evening, and night. The progression of time parallels the emotional disintegration of the family. The shift from light to darkness symbolizes the loss of hope and the descent into despair. Poetic dialogue. O'Neill blends realism with poetic expression. Characters often speak in long, lyrical monologues, particularly Edmund, who invokes literary and philosophical allusions. This heightens the play's emotional intensity and intellectual resonance. Repetition and cyclical structure. Conversations repeat throughout the play. Stories are told multiple times with variations, accusations resurface, and arguments recur. This circularity reinforces the idea of emotional entrapment and the futility of escape. Symbols and motifs. Fog and foghorns represent confusion, emotional distance, and the desire to obscure truth. Mary speaks of loving the fog because it hides the world. Morphine and alcohol symbolize denial and retreat. Both substances are means of coping, but they also destroy communication and connection. The convent symbolizes Mary's lost innocence and missed potential. Her idealization of the convent reveals her longing for purity and escape from her disappointing life. The Book of Shakespeare represents James's lost artistic idealism. Though he clings to it, his failure to pursue high art haunts him. Reception and legacy. Though completed in 1941, O'Neill requested that Long Day's Journey into Night not be published or performed until 25 years after his death. His widow, however, allowed its premiere in 1956. The play was met with universal acclaim and won the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 1957, solidifying O'Neill's place as America's greatest playwright. It has since become a staple of American theater and is frequently revived around the world. Its exploration of addiction, family trauma, and psychological complexity continues to resonate with audiences and scholars alike. Conclusion. Long Day's Journey into Night is a raw, unsparing portrait of a family destroyed by addiction, guilt, and unfulfilled dreams. In it, Eugene O'Neill crafts a deeply personal yet universal exploration of human suffering and the desperate search for meaning in the face of disappointment. The play is a tragedy not because of a single fatal flaw, but because of the accumulation of regrets, silences, and missed connections. Each character is deeply flawed, yet O'Neill invites empathy, not judgment. They are, like all of us, shaped by love and loss, struggling to find peace amidst the ghosts of their past. Ultimately, Long Day's Journey into Night is a meditation on the human condition, its fragility, its contradictions, and its haunting beauty.